the next topic that we have is couple of forces. And you generally get a question from this topic in paper 1 and sometimes in paper 2 as well. So how do we define couple of forces? Just an easy concept. For example, you're steering your vehicle like this. So you want to steer right. What do you do for that? You press the steering wheel downward with your right hand and upward with your left hand. And if these two forces are equal in magnitude, and obviously they are opposite in direction, but if they are equal in magnitude, for example, this one is also 10 Newton and this one is also 10 Newton, and these two forces are not being applied at the single point. You see, there's a separation between these two forces. They are not being applied at the same point. In this situation, these two forces form a couple of force. Alright, just the name is saying couple of force means two forces, but there are certain conditions, terms and conditions applied. What are the terms and conditions? The forces should be equal in magnitude, the forces should be opposite in direction, and the forces must not be applied at the same point. So they must be applied at different points. So I'm going to write down the definition first. You can note it down. So every time they ask you for the definition of couple of force, you write it down as it is. And they mostly ask you for 2 marks. So you write down all the pointers. Say there should be two forces. They should be equal in magnitude, opposite in direction, and must be acting along different points. So let us draw the diagram over here. So here we have this diagram, and you see there are two forces being exerted at two different points of the object, and the magnitude of force is same. Magnitude of the two forces is same, because the first one is F Newton, the second one is also F Newton. And then the perpendicular distance between these two forces is represented by D. The perpendicular distance, okay? You don't take the distance like this, no. Okay, so what is the formula? You have the same formula that you use for moment of force. You can use the same one for couple. And in this case, the formula is F times the perpendicular distance, the same one. The force times the perpendicular distance. Force times perpendicular distance. So which one of these two forces do you consider? The answer is any one of these two, because the values of the two forces are just the same. So either you can consider the upper one, or you can consider the lower one. Let's say this force is 10 Newton and this force is 8 Newton. The thing is, if these two forces are unequal, even they are in opposite direction, even they are acting in different points, but if they are unequal, they won't be forming the couple. So these two forces have to be same. So let's say the second force is also 10 Newton. The length of the rod is 10 centimeters. And the perpendicular distance between the forces is, let's say, 5 centimeters. So we need to find the couple. What do? We take one of the forces. Let's say we take the upper one. So couple equals to 10 times the perpendicular distance between the two forces. 10 centimeter is not the perpendicular distance between the two forces. The perpendicular distance between the two forces is 5 centimeter. So times 5. So what do you get? You get 50 Newton centimeter. So this is how you find or calculate the value of couple. So these are some of the important points for a couple of forces to be formed. First one, like I said in the very definition itself, the forces must be equal in magnitude. The second one, the forces must be in opposite direction, exactly in the opposite direction. the forces must have perpendicular distance between them. If there's no perpendicular distance between them, the value of D would be 0, and hence the couple would be 0. So different points of application, the forces must be applied at different points, not at the same point. And the last one, the forces must act along parallel lines. So if the first force is like this, then the second force has to be like this. And matter of fact, if the forces are in opposite direction, then they would be acting along parallel lines. Okay, so let's take a look at the sample question. We have only 2 sample questions for this one. Here we have the first one. 2 coplanar forces act on the rim of the wheel. The 2 forces are equal in magnitude. Which arrangement of the forces provides only a couple? So there's only one arrangement that would produce a couple of forces. Let's talk about the first one. You have one force upward, the other force is towards the right side. These are not opposite, so they cannot form a couple. Option B, both the forces are towards right side, they cannot form a couple. Option C, the forces are perpendicular, they cannot form a couple. It is only the option D in which the forces are in opposite direction. Here we have another one. 2 parallel forces, each of magnitude F, act on the body as shown. What is the magnitude of torque produced by this couple? So in order to find the couple, we have the same formula. One of the forces times the perpendicular distance between the forces. So you have 2 forces, one at the top, one at the bottom. Which one of these 2 do you use? Any of it. So I'm going to use the upper one, F, times what is the perpendicular distance between these 2 forces. So you see the line of action of the lower force is this one, and the upper force is acting along this line, and they have shown 2 distances. One of the distance is represented by D. You see that distance from here to here is not perpendicular to the forces, rather the distance S is perpendicular to the forces. So S is the perpendicular distance between the forces. So we'll use that one for the calculation of couple. So it would be F times S. So from the options, we'll be choosing the option B, which is F times F. F times S, sorry. So just you get very easy question from this topic. You can save time for these kind of questions and use that time for the other tricky questions.